The aim of this book is to present a clear, balanced and unified picture of the resistance in every country occupied by Germany or Italy during the Second World War. The advantage of looking at Europe as a whole is that it is possible to avoid the pitfalls of nationalism. It is natural for every nation that was occupied to take its own resistance story and retrospectively magnify its achievements. In a sense, it was necessary for the post-war restoration of nationhood and self-respect. But this does tend to inflate the genuine heroism of the resistance into an epic myth, as in General Charles de Gaulle's famous speech in August 1944, which spoke of Paris, and indeed France, having been liberated by itself. Moreover, a national perspective leads inevitably to claims that X country was the only one to do a certain thing, or Y country was the first to do something, and this is what a Europe-wide history is able to correct. There was not, of course, a European resistance as such. This would have been impossible. But there were common themes across the continent, and the balance between them varies from country to country. There were lessons to be learned, but the isolation of the conquered meant that each country or region had to decide how to respond to its occupation on its own, and the lessons it learned often could not be shared and had to be relearned elsewhere afresh. The only country which could really learn widely applicable lessons from the resistance was Germany, through its efforts to crush it. An advantage of looking at all the occupied countries is that one can identify a very clear east-west divide in what the resistance fought for, and especially in how the Germans responded. Even the Germans admitted that the Poles resisted from the first day of the occupation, largely in response to the drastic loss of nationhood inflicted by the dual occupation of the Germans and Soviets. In Western Europe, however, there was a high degree of collaboration with native governments and administrations, and the occupations were carried out with a much lighter hand. It can be argued that the reasons why the destruction of the villages of Lidice in the German protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia and of Oradour-sur-Glane in France are held up as examples of German brutality lie in their rarity in countries where there was a high degree of collaboration with the occupiers. In Eastern Europe and in the Balkans, such devastation and mass murder were the norm. Arguably, the severe repression which Western Europe suffered at the hands of the Germans in early 1944 was not new in itself, but merely the application of existing Eastern methods across a wider geographical area. Two areas are often excluded from general histories of resistance: the Jewish resistance and the German opposition to Hitler. This book covers the Jewish resistance because it is relevant to the themes explored in the text. The horror of the Holocaust affected not just the victims.